That's right folks, Coffee Talk, a indie game that's a visual novel that released earlier this year in January, has gone free with Games with Gold for June on Xbox. Coffee Talk takes place in Seattle during the current year of 2020, treading the waters of racial and political sentiments and remaining on those issues even in fantasy tones, even being extremely meta at times, while having in-between storylines of fame, love, chasing dreams, and helping an alien get a Tinder date. This peaceful nighttime coffee shop that you run sees a lot and experiences a lot in Coffee Talk. What's also featured in Coffee Talk is a free mode to fix up and practice on your coffee making skills for characters in the story, and also survival mode, where you have to specialize in making certain types of coffee and drink combinations and learn what combos with what. Also is included a specialized art and comic that you can view for even more backstories of things that happen in the campaign. And now for the graphics. My first and only pro for the graphics is that I love the art style for Coffee Talk. It's bright, vibrant, colorful, and the character designs just pop right out at you. It's a beautiful visual novel that gives you plenty of color in the world of the shop, in the characters, and even in the coffee designs that you make. It's a pro for me. The graphics get a 4 out of 5. And now for the gameplay. My pro for the gameplay is that Coffee Talk makes you be a true barista. You have to learn combinations and unlock recipes to give to characters throughout the campaign and other modes. Sometimes the ingredients will be simple, and sometimes it'll be hard as you have to guess in particular of what they want. I enjoyed this part of the game as it added some depth to this visual novel and gave me playability than just reading constantly with no action. It's a pro for me. My con for the gameplay is that your character sits back way too much. There isn't any choice dialogue or times where you have to be crucial in what you say or do. The main character you play as in Coffee Talk is too passive, especially when there's dramatic dialogue sequences going on during someone's storyline. I wish there was more meat with the potatoes, as much could be said or done rather than sitting back. It's a con for me. The gameplay gets a 3.5 out of 5. And now for the audio. The audio of Coffee Talk is really chill. It's a constant lo-fi hip-hop playlist that's playing in the background the majority of the game. I enjoyed the soundtrack so much that I had to get it on my phone. It brings in a constant smooth and calm overview that the game brings out. The production is really good and I really enjoyed it in Coffee Talk. The audio of Coffee Talk gets a 5 out of 5. And now for the story. The story of Coffee Talk is one that I wasn't expecting. What started to be a harmless game about a simple barista running a nighttime coffee shop for those who needed to clear their head turned into a game with multiple storylines and arcs. Turned into a game that's so meta about everything that's going on currently that touches upon racism, xenophobia, and even uses fantasy characters in a really cool way to talk about the current tension in America. And hell, even the ending hit me with a fastball of a twist as the rabbit hole went deeper. Minor fluff aside, I found myself impressed and couldn't put the controller down. I loved it. My only con for the story of Coffee Talk is that it's super short, and when you discover things for your second playthrough, only a few pieces of dialogue is changed. Nothing too drastic or anything of the sort, which doesn't leave any room for when you're trying to understand the ending. It's kinda disappointing, honestly. The story of Coffee Talk gets a 4 out of 5. And now for the wrap up of the review. But all in all, Coffee Talk is a game that has a beautiful art style, cool barista and coffee making gameplay, a really good lo-fi soundtrack that's smooth on the ears, and a quality story that isn't afraid to push the barrier to take it there. However, the lack of dialogue choices for a visual novel, the lack of difference in your second playthrough, and the game being really short is disappointing. But with that being said, I'll be giving Coffee Talk a 3.5 out of 5.